A wise man once said, the more you read, in 2021, I have been reading more often. I would call myself an avid reader, but I looked up avid and it's not really, you know, it means enthusiastic. I'm not really enthusiastic about reading, I just be reading. I am proud to be rocking the Real Book badge in 2021 because a lot of people are on the audiobook wave, and you know what? I'm not against it. I prefer my books in the flesh, you know what I mean? I like something to hold. I like cardboard. I like hardcover books. Maybe I am an avid reader. Maybe I am enthusiastic. No, I'm not. We can just go with a repeat offender of books. What are we doing here? So it's not like it's any secret. I'm gonna show you the books I'm gonna talk about. Sleep Smarter by Shawn Stevenson is the first one. Second one is Food by Dr. Mark Hyman. And the third one is Limitless by Kwik. Starting off with Sleep Smarter. Listen to me, dog. This started it. The author of this book, Shawn Stevenson, it's someone who I discovered at my time in college. I was actually a sophomore in college and I spent a lot of time alone. I had a single room to myself. Honestly, in that time, I was trying to find myself and I came across, not this book, but the author first, Shawn Stevenson. I came across an interview where he had with Tom Bilyeu and he was talking about sleep. Now, mind you, I was 18 at the time, trying to still find myself, trying to find out what I was passionate about. I wasn't even certain on my major. I was just trying to figure things out. I come across this interview with this guy talking about sleep. Out of all things, you know, health considered, from nutrition to exercise, sleep? Drake. So sleep was that first domino that kind of opened up the door for me to this wide world of health that I just wasn't exposed to, that a lot of people aren't exposed to. What's cool is that this was coming off a year, my freshman year, I didn't do sleep at all. Like, I remember staying up very late, arguing with my roommates about what goes first on a PB&J. At 3 a.m., I'm not even kidding you, we would be up extremely late. So I had no respect for sleep at all. And eventually I came across his book. This book turned me into a bit of an oddball as everyone was out, you know, getting drunk during the whole shebang. I was in bed sleeping at 9 p.m. to get up early, fully rested. You know, that average benchmark is like 8 hours for the adult. But we don't, that's just a random number. We don't really know why. We just kind of heard it and we're like, okay, 8 hours, that's fine. But this book kind of breaks down what quality sleep looks like, and it's invaluable. All right, now we got Food, the book by Dr. Mark Hyman. So the funny thing about this book is that I actually came across it during an interview with Dr. Mark Hyman on Shawn Stevenson's podcast, The Model Health Show. Honestly, that's how I come across most of these books. If you're being interviewed and you have some form of a smidge of a personality and you have a book and I like your topic, I'm probably gonna purchase that book. I will say this though about this book. It's gonna give you a trigger. You are going to be triggered when you come across food myths. When you know the truth from, you know, doing your research, reading, you're going to read something that says some bold claim about a certain food and you're gonna be like, what? That's not even true. I was at track practice one time and I seen this random sign lying on a bench and it said, avoid red meat if you want to be healthy. So a few things, but the first thing, I think people are more willing to listen when you have a reasonable presentation. Hear me out. If someone just went down into my comments right now and said, you're stupid, everything you're saying is stupid, this video is stupid, go roll over, fall asleep and never wake up. Like, I wouldn't take that as serious as I would someone giving me constructive criticism. Like, hey, I didn't really understand what you said here, maybe break that down a bit more. They're presented differently, and because of that, the constructive criticism is more attractive. I'm willing to open a wider ear to that. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that this is classic in the food industry, these bold sayings. So I'm not telling you to make a sign and then have your sources cited on it, but I think that we have to be able to see both sides of the situation. The reason food is so contradicting oftentimes is because of the spectrum of true and false is often disregarded. We come across these huge claims that say saturated fat is bad, stay away from red meat, but we aren't regarding the case scenario, the situation, the environment where something might be totally true here, but it might be skewed a bit over here, it might be different over there. And like I said, there's a spectrum of this. The subtext of this book is, what the heck should I eat? And that is basically the summation of this book. It's not like a chapter book, it's written in sections. It will take a food group, break it down, what the scientists got right, what they got wrong, the myths, the truths. It'll do that for each food group. And that's awesome because it's a reference at the end of the day. So it's something I'm constantly opening. This is the Bible for food. The last thing I'll say about this book is that it is great for weight loss. If that is your thing and you want to learn the nutrition side of things in order to lose weight, then this is where you should look. The final book we're gonna look into is Limitless by Jim Kwik. And just like Dr. Mark Hyman, I came across Jim Kwik on a Model Health show on an interview. Let me just take you through this real quick. I'm chilling, listening to this podcast with Jim Kwik on it. And he blows my mind because I'm sitting there and he's talking about this thing in between our ears. It's our brain, right? And he's going over all of these hacks and all of these things and how the brain works and things you can do to read faster and things you can do to think more efficiently. What? Now, when people talk about upgrading the mind, it can get real mystical. It can get spiritual even. This has to be the most practical guide I've ever read or came across of someone talking about how to upgrade your brain. And the last thing I'll say about this book is that it works. That is the best thing about this book. Everything he talks about, you can apply. I don't say this anymore, but I always used to say, I have a bad memory. And because I was interested in upgrading my memory, this really stuck out to me. He talked about how you can remember lists of things, like remembering a grocery list. So I'm sitting on my back porch getting myself some sunlight. I can't remember if this was a spring break or summertime. I don't know what it was, but I was kicking it. It was hot outside, I remember that. I was sweating, reading this book on the back porch. I came across that section where he talks about remembering lists. And I asked my mom to make a random list of some things. And I applied the instructions and it worked. I felt like a superhero. The tips and tricks from this book is something that I'll be applying for the rest of my life. It's a game changer. So if you are looking for something to read, here are 3 recommendations of books that have impacted me in a great way. So personally, I think this book is the most important out of all these 3. Just on a global scale of all things considered, I think food is that main pillar of health that would be beneficial for most of us if we dialed in. So if you are looking for that food guide, all right, hopefully you all enjoyed the video. No research, no nothing, just 3 good books. I'll probably do this again in the future when I complete 3 more that I think will be helpful for you. Hey man, if you got any value out of this, if you got to this point in the video, that means that you were chilling with me. We hung out. I would greatly appreciate a like. I'm gonna go ahead and get about y'all.